right. All right. Yep. Okay. We're good. 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 So this is gonna help us like record the video.
Oh, okay. We'll make sure our
That
audio's
way,
straight.
basically our audio. That way it doesn't get lost, and I can simply just add it to. I already got the video made, right? So
Yeah.
this will just add the audio to it when we're done.
Oh, sweet. So you wouldn't have to do much editing.
Nope. Just add it to it. It'll adjust the length of the video automatically, and we're good to go. So yeah. We're basically all set.
Oh, you say that then.
Oh yeah. Wait, do we want to keep this in the video?
I mean, that's up to you.
I mean,
Whatever your style
that's
is.
yeah. I mean, yeah, whatever. It'll edit it. It'll edit what I want. So anyway, so everyone, how you doing? This is Churros King, my homie right here, one of my newest homies on YouTube. Be sure to comment, like, and subscribe, and definitely go to his channel because he needs some love. Y'all love me, then y'all gonna love him. So today we are going to be talking about Bagan. If you guys don't know, Bagan is one of Godzilla's strongest enemies of all time here. And I have some new information for you, Churro, because the last time we did this, I ain't know too much, but after redoing it, I got a lot more for you.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
yeah, this is gonna be good. So we're gonna be looking at these characters from a composite standpoint, and obviously, if you mess with a composite Godzilla, you can mess with just about anybody. So I'm
Real.
gonna start off with the let's start off with the Bagan scaling, all right? So, Churro, here's the fun thing, right? He was meant to actually fly.
I figured. I'm like, I could have
He was
sworn Bagon can fly.
he was meant to, but it was scrapped.
Oh,
Mhm. It was scrapped. You see, he was supposed to appear. He had actually four Godzilla movies he was supposed to appear in.
yeah, he has
Four,
some tough luck.
but he got scrapped like so many times. Oh my gosh, like
Yeah, bro could not catch a win.
nope. And so, if you guys don't know where to find Bagan, there is a Godzilla Heisei game where it's basically like an alternate version of the Heisei verse where Godzilla like doesn't die like afterwards with Destroyer. So the whole burning Godzilla and the whole Destroyer thing just never happens apparently. So let's get into the scaling, right? So Bagan himself was actually so powerful that Godzilla and Ghidorah had to team up against him. Now already that just says a lot. That it says a lot about any monster in total. And then they had to fuse together. Basically, Ghidorah's cells were added to Godzilla's cells to give Godzilla such an increase in power that Godzilla still high diffed Bagan here. Now, with the Heisei scaling, Godzilla can scale to 5D, or you can actually take the basically the literal interpretation of super gravity from ourselves, and that would be, I think it was 7D that where our scientists scale it 7D. So again, applying that to Heisei Godzilla, who was above characters like Utsuno Ikuzakami and Yamato no Orochi, who easily can affect 4D planes. Godzilla being not only above them, but was confirmed to be actually able to beat them. And that would put him obviously at a 60 category, because again, affecting 4D planes, that would make you 5D, and that basic, scaling chain and all that. And then with Space Godzilla, you have 7D. So Bagan would already have um I guess you could say like 9 or possibly higher D scaling if you really want to get into that. And then, sure, if you like, you can get into some of the other feats Godzilla has done in like other iterations if you want.
Now, if we want to bring in the other iterations, let's talk about Rage Across Time. Let's talk about Godzilla in Hell. That's
Hmm.
when That's when his more higher dimensional stuff gets really like consistent. Because I'm more of a conservative guys when it comes to the movies, but the comics, oh, go all out. So yeah, with
Yep.
Rage Across Time, he has this godly form that he takes on Zeus. Zeus has some conceptual scaling, and he just straight up threw a thunderbolt at Godzilla, and Godzilla just looked at him like, "That's the best you got," and like just folded the entire pantheon, which is fire. Bro is basically Kratos. Then we got Godzilla in Hell. Now scaling with that is all over the place, but we can at least get a general realistic scale here that Hell it has multiple dimensions within it, and
Right.
Godzilla killed the creator of those multiple dimensions. So easily, easily you can get him to 5D or even higher. So he's already
Hmm.
just a menace in himself. Composite Godzilla really is.
Yeah, Godzilla's an absolute nightmare. Then you have, now I'm sure the scans are probably in the video. They'll probably be there towards the end, but you have your like Avengers scaling and like especially the
Ooh.
Power Rangers. You have your
Oh
Avengers and
yeah,
Power
I
Rangers
forgot all
scale.
about that. You're right.
Dear God, he bodied them. Those poor Megazords. Dear God. Oh, they thought they were Mecha Godzilla for a good minute.
And it might get even better because he's fighting Superman next.
Oh yeah, the Justice
And the
League.
Justice League. Oh
Oh,
man.
oh. I had to make a whole video on that. Like, look, I know y'all might be mad at this, but y'all gonna have to accept the L the league is about to take. Like,
Yeah, I'm already looking at the scans. We already seeing even Kong is folding them.
Kong is about
So
to
it's
fold the
yeah,
Legion of Doom too. Like,
yeah, it's getting crazy.
it's getting crazy. But so we each have like, I think it's in all honesty, I think it's like multiple of Godzilla's allies right now. We have Zilla, King Caesar, and everybody except Kamibis.
Yeah.
Everybody except him, because he ain't do too much. He really didn't. He doesn't do too much. Even in the Godzilla Rules of Earth, he doesn't do too much. He kind of felt like, if we're being honest, he feels like a last minute addition if you think about it. So, all right. So we're gonna start off, and Churl, you have the honors, and I believe your first one is King Caesar.
All right, let me talk about my goat, King Caesar. King Caesar is highly renowned as a martial artist monster, stated in both the Showa era and the Final Wars era to be skilled in martial arts and fighting tactics. And as we know, Bagon does not have those statements. So this is an edge King Caesar can use. King Caesar has fought alongside Godzilla against Mecha Godzilla. He also, in the comics, were able to fight the Trilopods, which were able to give Godzilla and Space Godzilla trouble at times. So he should be somewhere around their level. Uh, he also has an ability with reflected eyes, where if you shoot a beam towards his eyes, he can absorb that and redirect it back at his opponent 10 times more powerful than it was first fired at. So that's going to be pretty nice. Any beam like abilities used against him, he can use it against his opponent.
Mhm. So, how do you think he fares in this whole one-on-one? Let's do that. We're gonna do one-on-ones, and then we'll just throw them all at him. How do you think he fares in like a rock'em sock'em kind of battle?
Right, right, right. So they up in Japan or somewhere about running with
Mhm.
Fade 1v1s. Respectively though, I have to hand King Caesar the L. And from a consistent standpoint, composite wise, Godzilla is just superior to King Caesar in almost every way. I don't think there's a single game, comic, definitely not the movies that you can pull proof that King Caesar would be above Godzilla.
I
And
mean, you.
we already went over how Godzilla lost to Bagon with the help of King Ghidorah, who at
Mhm.
least is a at least on par with Godzilla. King
I
Ghidorah is definitely him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
I
if
think
those
I
two
think for
can't
like
handle
if
it,
you
King
look
Caesar
at it.
definitely can't. You were
Hmm.
saying what?
I think if you look at it from a composite standpoint, I'm a King Ghidorah fanboy, so I
Right.
could be I could say I'm biased, but from a consistent standpoint, Godzilla either has to get a slight amp or needs help from King Ghidorah. There's only been like a handful of times, like probably the ones we could probably count on our hand, that Godzilla has been able to solo King Ghidorah by himself.
Yeah. It's not. It doesn't happen too often.
Right. But even then, is it more realistically, or at least let's use King of the Monsters as a standpoint. And like towards the end of the movie, they were pretty much even until Mothra's sacrifice.
Right.
I
Wait, you
think
said
we,
in which one? Monsterverse?
yeah, Monsterverse. Well, yeah, kind of
Oh,
like
oh
as
yeah,
a,
and that I'll argue Ghidorah had it
yeah,
when he got
yeah. I think
supercharged.
especially when he got that, I would actually call the amp like an equivalent to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Godzilla had a nuke basically busted in his face. Pause. And then Ghidorah drained the electricity of an entire city. Now in all honesty, that could be because of Ghidorah's bioelectric nature taking in electricity as a much more amplified boost than nuclear energy.
Uh-huh.
So you could probably say it was like the equivalent or slightly greater. But in all honesty, he had it, or you could just say it was a hacks difference. I
I
think
see. I
that's
see.
probably the better way of looking at it, that he had a hacks difference.
Well, either way, our point still stands. Like King Ghidorah is almost never inferior to Godzilla, besides like GMK, and even then, I consider that
Mhm.
version of Ghidorah a separate character because technically that's Nododo or Orochi. That's not even
Yeah,
really
he was
King.
supposed to be he was like an immature Orochi. So I'm just like,
Yeah,
how that
he's
work?
technically not even Ghidorah, so I count them as separate characters.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I can definitely agree on about that. So King Caesar, would you say, if you had to give a difficulty, would you say low?
Yeah, I think he's getting low
Okay.
diff.
All right, so we'll put that down as King Caesar getting low diff. Now I think the next one on here is Zilla. So Zilla, right? Zilla is by far, I would have to say, one of the few most intellectual reptilian kaiju in the verse. In the IDW Godzilla Rulers of Earth comic, he was able to go toe to toe with Godzilla. And even though he got hit a couple times, one of the few things, and probably one of the best feats that shocked fans everywhere, was definitely his atomic breath showing, where he was able to basically dodge and weave around Godzilla's atomic breath, and Godzilla actually had to get him at a point blank range before he could use it. Zilla would also, I would probably say he could hit harder than Titanosaurus, at least a base level Titanosaurus, where he's able to basically like bite and tear apart the tralopod of Titanosaurus. And he was able to kill a Godzilla tralopod with slight help from Jaguar, and not including his junior version, because I actually would agree with you, counting that as a whole separate character entirely, because it's definitely it's a lot different from
And it's like
any
the
villain.
sun, it's kind of weird to composite that together.
Yeah, I definitely think it would definitely be a different version of him. And then you also have his burrowing ability, which he uses to basically cause kaiju to like fall in and collapse underground. He'll use it to like dodge attacks and stuff. And in all honesty, he is one of the more, I guess you could say, safer fighting kaiju. So with that being said here, mm, mm-mm. I would like to say he does slightly better than King Caesar, but I would have to say he would also get loved if. What do you think?
Oops. Yeah, I love my boy Zilla, but yeah, respectfully, I don't think he has too much to prove. He's on Ghidorah level, and we already know how Ghidorah will do against Bagon, so it's just like it's not a lot you can really argue for Zilla here.
Right, right, right. Now, this is a yeah, this is basically a double deal. You could basically explain Sanda and Garai, considering they scale to each other hand in hand.
Yeah, let me talk about these two. So these guys also they're not as good as King Caesar, but they also know some martial arts, as they know some wrestling, some Tiger Claw methods. Aside from that, though, they were also able to they have some cellular resistance, as they're able to tank some maser tanks, and maser tanks are able to have cellular destruction. So
Mhm.
despite they did die to it, but they were able to tank it for some time. And also in the Rulers of Earth iterations, they were able to box up Godzilla. They jumped him. One of them made blood draw out from Godzilla, so they scaled to Godzilla, but they still got folded. Granted,
Right.
I will admit they lost. But hey,
Yeah.
them drawing out blood and being able to stagger Godzilla with their punches and kicks and whatever proves they're
Mhm.
some on at least on Godzilla's scale somewhat at a relative level. But even then, despite all of that, they're still getting folded by Bagon because we already established the scaling. If Godzilla by
Right.
himself can't beat Bagon, and Godzilla by himself whooped both of them at the same time,
Ah,
it
gosh, they
was much
did.
different. It's quite sad. They literally got the jump on him, like quite literally, and still lost.
They had the military. They had the environment. And they was doing they was doing like some stuff like I was like, okay, so why didn't Kong do this? You know, they were like throwing buildings at him. They were like dropping them on him and everything too. They were like
They
pulling
were
his
doing
tail so
everything.
that you're right. They were pulling his tail so that he couldn't like properly shoot. And then you have like the gas canister where Santa kind of like pretty much like surprises Godzilla with it. And then it causes Godzilla to run to the water like, dang, my head's on fire. I gotta get this off. Like
Yeah, they did like everything they could using their environment, everything as possible to get that win off of Godzilla, and even then, still
and then
didn't
all
matter.
Godzilla did was he threw Santa off. Santa took so much time just to recover from it that Garaya, the green one, by the way, if you guys don't know the difference, Santa's the golden one, Garaya's the green one. And Garaya literally just got like stomped on, and that was it.
Yeah,
But they had the whole fight back combo though.
they have some nice team chemistry. Very nice team
Yeah,
chemistry.
that's
Toby and
kind of
Shaq
their
is the
only
kaiju.
that's kind of their only hack they really have here is that they have a mild resistance. They're good. I would definitely say they have more wrestling or what's it called? What's it called? I think it. I'm not. I'm probably gonna get this wrong, and any martial arts can correct me in the comments. Krav Maga, which is like grappling.
Oh yeah, they definitely use some grappling tactics.
Yeah, they had the bear hug, the choke slam, all that good stuff in there. But yeah, I kind of agree with you. I think they do worse than the first two we mentioned. I think they do worse because they don't have a real way to like counter Bagan's like energy blast and thunderclaw or this thunderclaw. I don't think they don't really have anything to like counter that, so they might get like nagged actually.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Best I could probably give them is like a low, maybe like a low diff, but again on a more consistent level. If they and I think even in the Showa era had like one little panel where they still lost to Godzilla. Still, like they had one little like manga, I guess, confirmation between the two to like, yeah, they fought, but they still lost to Godzilla. So again, having Ghidorah and Godzilla team up against someone that literally they had to stack power on top of power just to beat them.
right.
So with that being said, they really don't have too much of a chance here. I'm not saying they're the weakest of this group here. They're definitely not. Think well, physically they're not the weakest here. But again, compared to the other two, which have like I guess you could say higher scaling, because again, they're fighting like Godzilla or at least somewhat Godzilla level foes like King Caesar with Mecha Godzilla and Zilla with, you know, Godzilla and Trilopod amped forms of both Godzilla and Titanosaurus here, they do a whole lot better than Santa and Goriah. I even say if those two combine their efforts, they would do a lot better.
They need to like on their own. They cool against
Mm-hmm.
like someone like let. Oh, I won't spoil like further kaiju's, but they'll do good against some of the like mid lower tiers. But Bagon, nah, they gotta work together, and even then, they still don't got it.
Yeah, they still don't got it. All right, next one I'm gonna explain here, and I think it's let me see the list again. Um, I think it's Gorosaurus. I'm gonna explain my boy Gorosaurus.
You heard?
Give him some love, and he definitely needs some justice. Put that boy in the MonsterVerse. Come on now, like dang,
Can only
just
pray.
one
We can only cry.
right. He would look so good, like. But all right, Gorosaurus. and I'm gonna say this, has the best case for delivering a solid injury to Bagan. He's definitely breaking a bone or two. You see, the reason why I say this, you guys, is because Gorosaurus in the Destroy All Monsters movie was the one who broke King Ghidorah's back. Put our golden child in a wheelchair. All right, put him. He put him in a wheelchair, and there was nothing stopping that. Then they proceeded to just stump the mess out of him. So, in all honesty, unfortunately, he has the AP to do it. He was also incredibly like durable as well, and he's a great combatant, especially when the Trilopod invasion came to Monster Island, and you had like Sanda, Garaya, Rodan, and what's the name? I think I'm missing one. Oh, Kumonga and Baragon all on that island at the same time. And they got captured a lot quicker than he did. He took out like multiple, and I mean multiple ones of them. And the really what got him was the numbers. Like he was getting overwhelmed and eventually he got like knocked out. And he also has like a burrowing capability, but not on the same speed level as Zilla. So in all honesty, if I had to say how he would do against Bagan, I would definitely say he'd be up there with Zilla and King Caesar. And I would probably say he would get a mid diff from me because he can actually cause some injury. What do you think about that, Churro?
Yeah, that so. Oh man, with the fact that he put Ghidorah on his back is amazing. Granted, he had help, a lot of help, but hey, that is nothing to sleep on. Despite the fact,
That that,
even if
that
he
don't
did have help,
that don't hurt. That it really doesn't hurt the durability of Ghidorah though, because I mean you could honestly say yeah he's got some comparable scaling right there. But again, they couldn't like fully cripple him, and his kick did that.
yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Gorosaurus here, he's definitely one of the better ones. We're starting to like climb up it here a little bit in power because he's showing
Mm-hmm.
some relativity to Ghidorah here, especially with the Trilopod fights. He was one of the better fighters on Monster Island.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think there was this old scan of the Showa monsters, and it was like a battle between Gorosaurus, Rodan, and Geras, and
Uh-huh.
Varan was it? I could be mistaken here, so if anybody knows like the scan better than I do, go ahead and correct me. But I do know this: they chose Gorosaurus as the winner between those four kaiju's, and
Dang.
that's pretty consistent with what we've seen in the film. It's
Wait, he
pretty
won
dang
a fight
consistent.
between Anguirus, Rodan, and Varen in like the full Dino battle.
Yeah, it's a four-way dino battle if I'm remembering it correct. It might have been Titanosaurus. I don't know. It was something like that. But either way, Gorosaurus came out on top. That's the main thing I remember.
Wow. Oh gosh. Wow. That's absolutely impressive here. That is definitely impressive here. Man, dang, I never even knew that. Shoot, I'm definitely gonna have to find that scan or
Yeah,
tag
it's a
Godzilla
very
King of the
niche
Monsters
scan.
to find
Yeah,
it.
it's in that server. It's in the server. That's how I saw it. Someone sent it to
Mhm.
me when I asked, "Oh, who would win between Gorosaurus and Titanosaurus?" And it's like, "Oh, well, here's this scan here." I'm like, "Oh,
All right, definitely gotta do some hunting after this. All
yes,
right, so
sir."
next monster, and so would you
Uh,
like to explain, Varen?
all right, y'all. Let me just let it be known. I'm
You
a
do.
certified, verified, get the check mark on my name, Varen hater. I do not like Varen, but I will not spite scale him. I will be fair. And I'll explain
Wait,
why
wait,
I dislike him.
tell them the reason why you don't like it.
He folded my boy Rodan. I like that gotta be a big L on Rodan's part. I'm sorry. And we're gonna get to Rodan later, so there's a lot to go over with that. But yeah, Varen folded Rodan, and Rodan scales to Godzilla pretty evenly. Uh, we'll get more into it later, but yeah, he has some good scaling to Godzilla and King Ghidorah. So we can put Varen around that tier based off of that feat. He also has his
Mhm.
beam, thanks to Godzilla Unleashed. He has long range. Not only that, with his gliding, he also has long range weaponry. And that's about it. I still think Bagon would body him, but he'll do a
Mhm.
lot better than most of the kaijus we mentioned before, he has something that most of the other ones didn't, which is actual long range battle tactics. He can use his beam. He also has his critical mass form from Godzilla Unleashed if he absorbs enough
Yep.
crystal energy, which will increase his power from a high ball up to 240%. So that'll make him vastly stronger. And if he's already somewhat in the same scales of Godzilla and Ghidorah, that huge amp could potentially make him strong enough to take on Bagon on his own. But even then, with the amp, I don't think it's enough to save him from Bagon because Bagon is around destroyer level, and
Mhm.
that's no small feat. And I'm
No, it
gonna be,
isn't. No, it is
and
not.
I think everyone on planet Earth. I don't think there's one person that's gonna disagree with me, unless you're gonna be facetious. Who's gonna say, "Oh yeah, Baron with critical mass is stronger than base destroyer"? No one's saying that. Let's be real here. No one is saying that. So
Nah, nah.
yeah, it's Varen is even despite all of that, Varen is still losing the bag on. I'll probably say mid diff this time if we allowing critical mass.
Yeah, we are. We are. We are. It's composite,
Then
so it
yeah,
counts.
yeah.
Shoot, matter of fact, I think that would update King Caesar, wouldn't it? Or give him at least
Oh,
a.
you're right. You're right. You're right.
I can't believe we forgot about that. Dang.
Yeah, L on my part. But the update King Caesar loses the I everything I said applies to base with critical mass. He just gets
Mm-hmm.
slightly better, but despite all of that, he still pretty much loses.
All right. All right. All
I
right.
think he'll be in the
All right.
same boat as Darren.
Mm-hmm. All right. So I'm gonna take this time to explain both of mine because I think we only have like what, four left at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna start off with one of my second favorites in the entirety of Godzilla, Humongous. Now, if you're asking me why he hasn't been on my channel, please, you guys have to understand it's hard to find perfect matches for people sometimes. Okay, it's very hard, especially when one's a giant spider. Come on, guys, give me a break. So,
Yeah.
Humongous, not the strongest kaiju out there, and definitely not the most durable. But where he does excel is his webbing and his speed. Right, he's been able to react to monsters like Baragon and Gigan, even fighting against a Trilopod that was pretty much they fought each other's Trilopods, and the Trilopods with their amps can sometimes be seen as superior to the original, or at least in that case, equal because they were matching the Trilopods in combat with their hacks and abilities. Now, Kumonga's webbing easily scales above a lot of the physical abilities of even some of the stronger versions of monsters. For example, Monster X, a monster that was fighting Godzilla hand to hand and is a basically a shell stage for Kaiser Ghidorah and was able to one-shot Anguirus, could not get out of Kumonga's webbing. Humonga has also been able to catch and restrain Rodan in the IDW whatchamacallit, Godzilla Rage Across Time comic. And you might be saying he was probably a little distracted or caught off guard, but again, the sheer fact that his weapon can hold Rodan, someone who again scales to Godzilla and Ghidorah consistently, does say a lot here. And Kumonga's, well, I'm gonna say Guy again. Kumonga's webbing cannot be cut. It actually has to be burned. And Bagan's beam, and apparently this is updated. It has some heat properties. Again, some, not completely like Gigant's, but it does have some heat properties. So Kumonga's webbing can still restrain bladed or claw-like monsters. But again, he's not as durable. He can take like energy beams from like Maser tanks and even Godzilla's atomic breath in the Showa era. But if you're like able to like get a physical hold on him and like crush him, yeah, he'll be down for the count here. So how do you think Humongous does in this kind of scenario? I'm not counting the poison stinger because I don't think he used it consistently.
I'm gonna let them have it because we gotta let them do the best they can.
You know, okay, that's fair.
So Kumanga, weirdly enough, either he gets completely folded by Godzilla or Godzilla like kaiju's immediately, or he'll actually have some good stuff like he did in the Solar series where he'll be on par with Godzilla, or like boxing up Rodan with some webs.
Right.
So he's a bit of a mixed bag here, but I think he should be able to at least cause some type of damage to Bagon.
Mm-hmm.
Only problem is, uh, I don't know how well Kumanga would do against Bagon's beam. And then we already established Bagon should be physically either on par with Godzilla or superior. And if we know
Mm-hmm.
Monster X can crush up Kumanga, oh yeah, I could definitely see Bagon crushing him just as easily as well. So I don't think Kumanga wins either. But yeah, he should be around, like I said, the same realms as probably Varen or King Caesar. Maybe a little less because he doesn't get the critical mass amp.
Right. Like just a little bit, like at least base to base, they should be relative.
Yeah.
All right. So next one is we actually get into the, I guess you could say the S tiers here when we start talking about Anguirus, everyone's favorite ankylosaur.
The goat.
Now, again, add this man to the monsterverse. I'm sick and tired of y'all just not adding Godzilla allies to the monsterverse. I don't care if he was a skeleton. That's not fair.
We need more.
Anyway, right, we just need a little bit more here. So, Anguirus, right? I would have to award, and I know a lot of y'all probably gonna be mad at me in the comment section for this, but again, Anguirus is, I would have to say, more durable than probably everyone on this list here. But I would definitely say his durability is in the ballpark of Godzilla and Ghidorah. Now, in terms of his physical capability, he's been able to harm Destroyer, Mecha Godzilla, Gigan, despite the fact he ran into the saw the first time like an idiot. Megalon, and he's even matter of fact, he's actually knocked out version two. Oh no, sorry, version one of Gigan, but was able to hold his own against version two with the chainsaw hands and everything. So
Yeah.
consistently speaking, he is around the same levels, or at least his AP is able to harm and even injure monsters as powerful as destroy at least a little bit. Now, in terms of what he can do, Anguirus has his rollout ability, to which he can actually roll through like powerful blasts, like Godzilla's atomic breath, even King Ghidorah's gravity beams to a degree, unless he decides to add the actual gravitational property to it. He's also been able to use a sonic shriek that has been able to knock kaiju on their pretty much on their butts, and has even been able to demolish cities. And as a Godzilla Unleashed, he does have a critical mass mode, and I'll actually say he has the best here because his armor gives him an extra defense. So this will boost his defense and his attack potency. And yeah, he now I would say there's only one little problem here. He has never beaten a Godzilla tier kaiju unless he's had help. But he's always been able to hold his own and stall out until someone like Godzilla or even Rodan is able to come and help him. So with that information, how do you think our boy does here? Because now we're into the heavy hitter stage.
Yeah. Our boy Anguirus is finally like we're getting to kaiju stuff that I think he can definitely give Bagon some hands because of like what you said. His defense is great. Literally in raids again, he was pretty much fight boxing with Godzilla for
Mm-hmm.
hours at least.
Yep.
We know he can. He's a reliable ally to Godzilla in Godzilla versus Gigan in the Showa era. Because Anguirus never died, despite the fact he was bleeding out and taking hits from Ghidorah and all that. He was never killed and he was never critically injured.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, Mecha Godzilla basically broke his jaw, and then by destroying all monsters, he's all good. So
Yep.
he's he's pretty much should be on that terms of power. And then, like, yeah, like you said in the comics, his back was able to damage the likes of Destroyer, which we just established Bagon should be around that tier. Well, here we go.
Yep.
We finally got a kaiju that we could arguably say can do some real damage to Bagon. And he's going to
Mm-hmm.
use that critical mass, boost his defense.
And his speed too.
And,
The rollout speed is just.
oh, yes, sir. And he can use burrowing too.
Yep.
He has
I
all of
don't think
that.
he wouldn't use it that much though.
Nah, no, I don't. I can't think of too many times of Van Gears using his burrowing in combat. I think he did it
Right.
once in Rulers of Earth, but I could be mistaken. But yeah,
I think he
combat
did
wise, he
it to
probably
like
won't use it too much.
avoid one attack. He did it to like avoid one attack from Destroyer, and
Yeah,
then he kind of got like he came from behind Destroyer, but you know that Destroyer's tail is extremely overpowered.
yeah, it's really good. But yeah, despite all of that, It's exactly how you say it, Grimlock. He never really clutched up a 1v1 against any of the high tiers. So
Hmm.
despite all of that, I think he could put up a good fight. But even with all of that, he's still losing a bag on because he just doesn't really have the feats to prove that he can win the fight. He has the feats to prove he can fight, he can take some
Right.
hits, but
Take
he
some
doesn't have
hits.
the feats to prove that he can win. He
Right.
all he
I
does is
think
just prove he's relative.
at best, I would say he not only injures Bagon, but definitely breaks a horn.
Oh yeah, I can see that, especially with critical
Hmm.
mass amps. I can see that.
It's gonna be like a whole Pokemon battle where you have like the dolphin roll out, just like hitting the opponent over and over.
Yeah, that's what he's gonna have to rely on, some spam.
I definitely think the Sonic Shriek or the Sonic Roar could definitely do something. It probably could disorient Bagon long enough for him to get like a super spin and just like nail him.
Oh man, I'll be with that if Anguirus does manage to pull that off.
Mm-hmm. All right, so next one up. Would you like to explain the next heavy hitter, Titanosaurus?
Now let's get to the man Titanosaurus. Despite being a pacifist, he can throw the hands if necessary. Uh, so in Terror of Mechagodzilla, albeit I will say he's inferior to Godzilla, he still gave Godzilla the hands, and then he was literally biting him on the lip, punching him. Then he punted him with kicks and sent Godzilla flying. And he was so cocky that he was literally dancing on Godzilla's quote unquote grave. Like this man Titanosaurus is disrespectful. And then Unleash, he has his beam,
Mm-hmm.
which is
This
pretty nice. So he has
concussion
long
blast.
range weaponry.
Mm-hmm.
Along with his hurricane like tail, he can create some hurricane like winds, which were powerful enough to stagger Godzilla and make Godzilla fall to the ground. So
Yep.
any character that's around base Godzilla level or less should be affected by these hurricane like winds. Then
Mm-hmm.
he has his critical mass states, which increases his size, strength, should increase his durability as well. He can also do some stuff here. Uh, and I can definitely see him doing something to Bagon, but even then, it sucks. Bagon's really just that powerful. Titanosaurus will still, respectively, he'll still lose. Despite even with all of that, I'm trying to give as much credit as I could to Titanosaurus. But there's been
Right.
examples in the IDW comics of him literally jumping Godzilla yet again with some help from Manda and what was it, Gazora, right?
It was Manda and Geozora, and
Yeah,
Destroyer
Geozora.
was like just getting there.
Yeah, yeah. And despite that, he had help and still lost to Godzilla. So yeah, it's kind of the Anguirus situation. He never exactly won against a Godzilla tier kaiju on his own.
Mhm.
Pretty much every battle Titanosaurus been in, he had some type of form of assistance.
Yeah, and let's
And
not forget the Space Godzilla encounter as well, where he had Batra.
yeah, and still
And
lost.
that, yeah, it was like I'm shocked. I'm like, wait a minute, what the heck? How did you lose with Batra? What the?
Yeah, it's so there is some consistency here that he's not. We have three battles where he had help from other kaiju's and he lost all three. Respectively, we have to go with the consistency here. There might be
Right.
someone might pull
Right.
up some random show I never heard of where Titanosaurus actually did pull off a W, but that it just doesn't beat out the other times he lost. So going off of that, I still think he would lose to Bagon, but I think he'll be more of a heavy hitter compared to like Gyra and Sandra.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that. Yeah, I could agree with that. I could agree with that. I definitely think the critical mass mode does give him a much better chance. Probably in the same ballpark as Gears with the critical mass mode, especially the level it would give his hurricane and his concussion blast ability.
Right.
I could probably see it the same category as Gears. He breaks a horn or two. Or
Yeah, I
I
can
definitely
respect
think
that.
he definitely could send Bagon flying with a hurricane ability. Because it would be like really amplified at that point.
Yeah, he might be able to like push Bagon back from trying to physically hurt him, and Bagon might have to rely more on his like beam or more long range type of weaponry or hack.
Mm-hmm. So yep, that concludes it. Titanosaurus gets a we could say high diff, right? I think that's pretty fair.
You can go with that. I would probably leaning more to mid diff.
Mid diff.
I don't think we're in
Okay.
the high diffs quite yet.
I don't know. We gave Anguirus at least a high diff because Anguirus does have better defense, so that is kind of that is
Yeah,
a factor. Yeah, that is a factor. But okay, so now we are at. I think the only ones we have left are Rodan, Baragon, and Mothra. So let's get Baragon out the way. That's it.
yeah,
Yeah, let's get Baragon out the way here. His showings in the monster, in monsters and in the Godzilla franchise in general, is not relatively the best, but he does have some great showings. Like in Godzilla Rage Across Time, he was able to give not Rodan, Anguirus the work here. He was actually able to outspeed him, but was caught in one of Kaiser Ghidorah's meteors. So and you got some relative scaling, at least to base and gears. They were able to give each other like a blow for blow each one. Then you also have when he was in Rulers of Earth, he was able to get Kiryu a very hard time. Now you could say Kiryu was trying to capture him, but again, Kiryu was using weaponry that was meant to like knock out other kaiju, and it still didn't take down Baragon at all. Then you have his GMK showing where he was able to he did all right against Godzilla. Died, but he did all right. He did all right. He did all right. And then you have his Godzilla Unleashed version where obviously that game gives him a way more credit than a lot of games, obviously. But he is stated to be one of the fastest runners of that entire group here. And he does have his critical mass mode as well, which does boost his fire breath and his burrowing capabilities. So, in all honesty, he does not have the best showings when it comes to fighting them. He does have, like, hey, look, I'm here. I can fight. Yeah, he has that. He's a valuable ally on the field, especially with his burn ability. He has like a leech burn, was what I call it. It's like a burn that like kind of doesn't go away after a while, if you get what I mean.
yeah,
Yeah. So he has that ability, and I think that could potentially cause some like extra damage or at least extra damage points for him. But against Bagan, I think it's just like it's gonna be kind of like the what's the word I'm looking for? You remember Ursaring from Pokemon?
nah, I'm lost on that one.
Well, so now, okay, so for those of you who don't know, if you guys remember Ursaring from the Lick Acuity battle, it's gonna be just like that. Bagon's gonna just get one hit in, and then he's probably just going to add another one just to put him in the dirt. That's what I kind of mean.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. So I would say he gets a hit in before he manages to get just get stomped out. I give him like a low, or if and again low is being generous because I do think he would get nagged like Sanda and Garaya. Albeit he does do like slightly better, so you could probably say like a low diff at best. What do you think?
Yeah, low diff, bro. I love my boy Baragon. I love his little roar, but yeah, it's just he don't really got a lot of showings. That Kiryu thing is probably his best stuff. But then again, with context, Kiryu wasn't really going all out on him.
Right.
And yeah,
He
if his best showing is a kaiju not even trying to really like go all crazy on him, it's not a lot to go off of then.
Yeah. He doesn't he's a fan favorite, which sucks. It sucks for him.
Yeah,
And I love him just like any other kaiju in the franchise, but I feel like he needs more. That's all he needs.
yeah,
I
he
feel like
needs
he just
more.
needs yeah, he needs more for himself to like kind of like he can stand up on his own two legs, yeah. He's got the one movie he was in and he's been in like just about every other Godzilla game, but he doesn't have enough to really just I guess you could say win a full blown confrontation unless it's against like base and gears because we don't know how that fight could have concluded. Like if Kaiser
Mm,
Ghidorah never showed up, it's very possible Anguirus could have won it, and maybe at best you could say high difficulty, but again, that's like reaching. I don't know. For me, it's like a little bit of a reach because Baragon doesn't have too much to stand on, except just for like his fight with Anguirus, which we would easily call it a stalemate because they never like concluded it. They both only got one hit in each.
Yeah, it didn't last too long.
And then, like you said with Kiryu wasn't trying to hurt him, but he did use things that would knock out other kaiju. So and he just doesn't do too hot. Like it's unfortunate because I love him. He's just doesn't have too much for him. So let's see here who we got left. We got Mothra, honestly just Mothra and Rodan. So would you like get into the second strongest member of this group?
So Rodan.
Yep.
All right, let's talk about the main man Rodan and why I'm disappointed in that L he took the event. So let's talk about Rodan real quick. First time he ever comes in this crossover event with Godzilla and Ghidorah, the three-headed monsters. Realistically speaking, yes, the two of them were on par, but let's keep it a band. Rodan was doing most of the work in that fight. Godzilla was just tanking the hits. Rodan was dropping them out the sky, tanking his atomic breath, shrugging it off. Rodan was giving Godzilla the run. Then he's powerful enough to knock King Ghidorah out of the sky, which is extremely impressive because Showa King Ghidorah is just a god of the verse. Then
Yep.
in the Heisei era, Godzilla increasingly gets more powerful in each film. So he's more powerful than he was in 1984, 1989,
Mm-hmm.
1991.
Mm-hmm.
And Rodan fights him in 1993. So he would be more powerful than he was when he fought King Ghidorah, which is
Yep.
not a laughing matter. And Rodan was
Nope.
able to give Godzilla a hand. Yes, he lost, but he still knocked Godzilla on his tail. He speed
Mm-hmm.
blitzed him a couple of times. He was able to tank the atomic breath a couple of times.
Yep.
Rodan is proving himself. Despite the fact he lost, he still proved himself.
Don't
And
forget he broke
he has a
Super
fire
Godzilla's
Rodan amp.
armor.
Oh, you're saying what? You lagged out.
Oh my bad. Don't forget he broke Super Godzilla's diamond armor, which took the atomic breath.
Yes, sir. I'm glad you said that. I was gonna get into that. Yeah, and he shows some. Albeit he wasn't the greatest against his fight against Super Mechagodzilla, because Super Mechagodzilla was kind of nerfed then, but that's still once again not a laughing matter. That was still the military's greatest weapon, even when Mechagodzilla's nerfed. And
Yep.
a Super Mechagodzilla was able to have a beam battle with Godzilla and stalemate. They stalemated, and that was Mechagodzilla weekend. So yeah, that's no laughing matter. And that's with the Fire Rodan amp. So Rodan has an amp form, not to mention a critical mass form, which, by the way, Fire Rodan is the official version in Godzilla Unleashed. It's not just base Rodan, it's Fire
Yep.
Rodan.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an amped Rodan with another amp that makes him 240 times stronger,
Yeah.
which is no laughing matter. As I already established, Rodan is in the Godzilla tiers. Maybe not as strong as Godzilla, because as of lately, Toho's been making it very clear Godzilla's the stronger one. But when they first started off, he was him. And I want to bring up another really good feat, especially with this Ghidorah scaling. In
Mm-hmm.
Greatest Monsters of All, I keep messing up the name of it, but basically, you guys will get this comic run. Kaiser Ghidorah has been consistently stated this will apply to the composite form of Kaiser, not the movie
Right.
form. To be the boss of Ghidorahs is in his name. He's the emperor, not the king.
Yep.
He's the above all Ghidorahs, and it's pretty consistent with Monster X, the weaker version, being on par with Space Godzilla, who would be above Super
Mm-hmm.
Mecha Godzilla,
Yep.
and Kaiser's more powerful than Monster X, and they were already on par then. And I can argue,
Right.
and arguably in that line of comic issues, you can argue Monster X against Space, but Space has more feat showings outside of that. Ignoring all of
Right.
that, Kaiser Ghidorah is really strong, right?
Right.
With some human assistance of messing with some sound waves, messing up Kaiser, Rodan was able to blow a head off with a thunderclap wing slap. Base Rodan, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really, really showing of how strong Rodan is. So add the Fire Rodan amp and then add the critical mass amp. I fully believe if so far out of all the kaijus we went through, I think if there's anyone we had to get a W to, Rodan's probably one of the first ones we can really give one to him because he has the
Most
showings to
definitely.
prove he can win this.
Hmm.
I won't say it's consistent enough because albeit the Kaiser Ghidorah feat, he had some assistance with that, and Kaiser Ghidorah is kind of like off guard and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And he lost to Super Mecha G and he lost to Godzilla more often than not. But he still has some stuff to prove. He's
Right.
fighting something. So I
Hmm.
still think Bagon wins this, but at high diff this time. Rodan's
Yeah.
definitely gonna throw run the hands. I think he'll probably, like you said, cut off a horn. He'll probably burn with the Monsterverse stuff. He'll probably burn him with his magma body.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
most definitely.
aside from that, he also is really, really fast, extremely
Like
fast.
ridiculously.
I
Like he
remember you
easily
talking about
scales.
this. Oh, you said what?
Like he easily scales like one of the top. I know I made a list a while ago, and I still consider that one quote we did talk about, where it stated he was the fastest monster of all time. I would still
Yeah,
consider that pretty much true. Because again, the military, for those of you who don't know, have always had been in contact with the Shobijin twins, who are well aware of every Mothra. They pretty much raised every Mothra from start to finish. Like the only ones you could probably say aren't in is the Monstrous, but still the Monstrous is still kind of like new. So
yeah.
yeah, and then you have, and again, if you guys want me to explain, I'll get into it when I get to the Mothra section. But for the other monsters, Space Godzilla can go through space, and they already knew that. That's easy a faster than light feat. Ghidorah, you could probably say is either slower or faster, but yeah, he can move through space. Gigan and Megalon, also characters that can move through space. So again, you could easily put base Rodan, and again, this is from the IDW. So again, remember the composite scaling still applies here. Is above, characters that can move through space. So he would easily have faster than light to immeasurable levels of speed. Ooh, excuse me. Ooh, my bad. So he easily has faster than light to immeasurable levels of speed here. So adding the critical mass and on top of it, I don't think Bagan's going to see what a blitz can do. I don't think he's going to see that. Rodan might actually be moving so fast, Bagan can probably not. He's probably not going to be able to see him.
I think he could since he can fight on par with Godzilla and Ghidorah, and they can react with Rodan. But Rodan definitely will blitz him in some occasions, though.
Mm-hmm. All right, so now let's get into the let's get into the queen herself. Now,
Yes, sir.
if y'all never knew how dangerous a composite Mothra was, then I'm afraid y'all about to be in for a shocker. So let's go. I'm just gonna start off with the Haxes. Mothra can clone herself, and these clones would have the same powers and same abilities that she has, or she or he has. Yeah. So Leah
Depending
Mothra
how you
counts.
want to use it. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. So she can clone herself. These clones will have the same abilities. She has poison powder. She has I like to call it a fairy blast, but she has this energy blast that's capable of harming monsters. She can create hurricanes and gusts of winds. She can turn invisible, travel through time. So again, if they lose as a team, Martha can simply pull a flash, go back in time, and be like, hey, let's do this differently, all right? Now, Mothra can also increase her opponent's power, or sorry, not her opponent's, her teammates' powers when she sacrifices herself. Her radiation or her energy actually goes into their body, and that would increase their powers. If you guys want further evidence, then just go watch Godzilla King of the Monsters to get a full, I guess you could say, like spectacle for it. It does look better. Then you have the sheer fact that again she can heal her yeah, she can heal her allies naturally. She can teleport. Yeah, she can actually teleport, believe it or not. I was shocked when she could do this herself here. She can teleport. She can unleash a flurry of energy balls. She can even manipulate lightning and electricity and just call it out of nowhere. You think there's no storm in the sky, next thing you know, you're getting hit by lightning.
Yeah. Arc
Absolutely.
lightning.
Yep, arc lightning. Yep, absolutely crazy. She can even go underwater and get you. So even if you're a kaiju that can swim, yeah, she gonna get you out of the way. And she has the ability to transmutate or molecular manipulate her opponent's atoms and molecules to the point where they can turn to glass. Oh, and she also has a various arrays of magical abilities as well. Yes, she
Yeah,
got Doctor
feeling.
Strange on Doctor Strange on lockdown with her magical abilities. So
She
yeah,
has
she can
feeling too.
resurrect. Yeah, like it's absolutely ridiculous. I can't name them all here for the sake of time, but I'm just letting y'all know she got Doctor Strange on lockdown. She dear God. So and then you have her critical mass mode as well. So with
Whoo!
that being
Armored
said here,
Mothra critical mass.
armored. Oh God, dear God. Ugh. Armored Mothra, critical mass, Excel dash, going straight through Bagang like a hot knife through butter. Because remember, all her attacks are magic based, so that means they have some level of durability bypass as well. And she can make like miniature copies of herself. And again, she's never been stated to have a limit to how much she can like clone herself at all. So she could clone herself like a numerous amount of times. Like again, this is Pokemon, that double team ability. But again, it goes like way harder, and the clones actually hit you back. These clones, she doesn't have like some type of weakness where the clone cuts half her power down. No, she doesn't. These clones will have the same level and same abilities that Mothra has. So let's say in the team scenario that any of her teammates fall or get seriously injured, she can literally just have one of the clones will obviously have the consciousness to go over, heal the teammate, or put them back in the fight. And again, if they all get destroyed, they can all hit her with one of those final Mothra moves where she still runs at the opponent and blows them up and blows herself up. But again, with the cloning, it won't matter. So, I think you and me, Churro, could both agree. I think we both can agree that Mothra is about to be Bagan's worst nightmare.
Yeah, out of all the monsters we went through, I think Mothra definitely has the best chance. She has so many hacks and abilities. I think she's the only one I can really see pulling off a win on Bagon.
Yep. And I don't even think there might be a difficult. I think she might have like the least amount of difficulty too.
Oh, you think she low dips him?
I think she could, because let's be real here. Consistently speaking here, the only reason why Mothra loses is because one, her gestation period takes way too long, or two, plot. Because let's be real, Godzilla has the hardest time beating her, but will have a much easier time slapping around Rodan and Anguirus at the same time. Like let's keep it real here. She's always been a problem to Godzilla and Ghidorah. And then we saw the Leo
Yeah,
Mothra trilogy, and she was just running through them. And I did
yeah.
find out Dargala is actually a separate being.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, Dargala
I
is a
wasn't
separate.
tripping. No, I wasn't
So she
tripping.
ran through Cretaceous Ghidorah, which is the young version of Ghidorah. She then beat Death Ghidorah, which I think was like, well, I don't even remember if it was like the final stage or the like middle stage. But again, she ran through them, and Death Ghidorah stated to have the power to destroy the entire universe. And again, beating a Ghidorah itself is equivalent to beating a universal being, because again, they have that scaling. Like it's been consistent that Ghidorah has been like a universal threat since I think since that era. Like he's been a universal threat for years. He's always had the statement that he could absorb the power that's capable of destroying the universe. Yeah, that would mean he's universal, especially if he scales to his hacks. Like
But she has some good hacks.
yeah, and if y'all don't know, Ghidorah is like really overpowered in hacks, especially a composite form, and especially after Void Ghidorah with like the shadow killing ability. Oof, nah, nah. See, and Mothra has more hacks than him. And I think the only thing that could probably make her more dangerous is a copying ability. That's about it. That's about it here. But I think you and
Oh
me
yeah,
both
she
can
can
agree
split
here then.
herself apart and just go inside Bagon and
Yep.
destroy him from the inside.
And the thing is, she can control the size of her clones too.
Oh.
So he probably could inhale one and wouldn't know it.
Yeah, he could be too busy fighting one and then have another one just go right inside of him and bah,
pull the pull the Ant-Man, just go inside his butt.
and do the expansion jutsu.
Yep. Yeah.
It's over.
It's over. So yeah, I think you and me both can agree that critical mass, armored or just critical mass, Mothra in general is is a little bit too much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mothra. If we give everything to Mothra, we can with the armored Mothra, then the
Hmm.
amps, critical mass amps. I think she has more amps than that, and then she has hacks like sealing. Because
Yep.
I don't know if Bagon has any proof he can just break out a Mothra ceiling
Nope.
if she decides to use that.
He doesn't.
Then we have her, like you said, cloning herself. She can weaken
Hmm.
him with her mirror scales, just drain the power out of him, and then power herself up, and just
Yep.
reflect his beams, which he'll probably try to use inside of that mirror, the mirror reflection, and just damage himself while he's getting
Hmm.
weakened. Or if it really gets that desperate in a fight, if she's able to gather enough information, and Mothra's probably top three most intelligent kaiju's in the verse. She can be
Definitely
smart enough to
top
go
third.
back in time and fight a weaker Bagon if she gets the right accurate information and destroy that version, which, as long as Bagon doesn't pull a King Ghidorah, will ultimately lead to a win for Mothra. So I think Mothra
Right.
has the hacks and the abilities to make her a winner here.
Yep. I agree. So now we reached a part where we're gonna just throw them all together at Bagon. No Godzilla to help. Then he's not there. We'll say he's in another dimension fighting somebody. So there is just them against Bagon, minus Kamibis. Ugh. And Manda, minus Kamibis and Manda. I'll probably make a
Yeah.
video on y'all soon. Probably, probably. So, how do you think these guys all together um fare against Bagon?
Now that's when I really think the jumping is going to be a genuine jumping. Because we
Mm-hmm.
already said Rodan and we think Mothra wins, or
Mm-hmm.
at least she has the best potential to win. Now we're adding
Right.
Rodan, who we know can definitely do some damage. Anguirus, Titanosaurus, King Caesar, like
Mm-hmm.
he's getting jumped. And even though I think most of the kaijus here are dying, the numbers
Right.
advantage is a numbers advantage because Mothra
Mm-hmm.
has her amazing hacks. Let's say she used the mirror scales, reflect all of his attacks back at Bagon and drain him of energy. Then the other kaiju can do whatever they please. If
Right.
Titanosaurus, Varan, and Rodan want to shoot their beams while Mothra is using the mirror scales, that's four
Yep.
times the damage Bagon will be taking, including his own beam, and then plus having his energy drain. Then if Zilla wants to burrow underground while that's happening and just like drag Bagon down there too with him, Baragon and Zilla do a double combo there.
Oh
Like
yeah.
I think there if I
That,
think
oh
the
my gosh.
jumping will
If
be a genuine jumping.
just imagine like Zilla like burrows underneath, grabs him by his tail, Kumongo webs him, and then he and Baragon just kind of like jump him underground. It's dark down here, help! They're jumping me. And then they can just like drag him back up and just have him like get comboed. And then I don't think we talked about this the last time, but Mothra can play like bodyguard.
Yeah.
Especially she's like she can like have a clone for like each one of them, just like protect that specific one.
Ooh. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Mothra just done hacks she got, man.
Yeah. Like, you know, a lot she probably doesn't need to participate too much, especially if she just plays like a defensive role. The others can do like a lot of damage, especially with Mothra just bodyguarding them. Like even if you say like, yeah, she's gonna jump in regardless. Yeah, okay, that's cool. That's cool. That's cool. That I think that makes the fight go a lot quicker, probably a lot scarier because most of these monsters will aim for like vital organ areas. So imagine if Bagan gets blinded early. Like we know the Gargantuan brothers don't play fair, and we know Zilla's not going to play fair, so he might get an eye taken out.
Ooh, maybe worse.
Yeah, and I think that I think yeah, I do agree. A lot of them are dying, but again, with Mothra there, does it really like matter? She can resurrect, so
Yeah, she's gonna get the help she needs.
yeah, it's just like yeah, she's not physically on par with Bagan, but again, she's not dumb enough to risk a close quarters combat.
No, and she usually does the close quarter combat stuff when she knows she's gonna die and have to risk it all. But with the team she
Right.
got, yeah, most of them are gonna die, realistically speaking. But with Rodan, at least, and Anguirus, some heavy hitters, and Anguirus being a heavy shield defender, I don't think she
In
wouldn't
depth,
have to go that
definitely.
far. I don't think she would have to go
Hmm.
that far.
No, I don't think she would have to. And even then, look, it wouldn't matter. She could just clone herself and kill it, and then the clone could sacrifice itself. So it wouldn't really hurt her too bad. It's kind of crazy. Matter of fact, would Batra actually count as a Godzilla ally?
I think they worked together in that one random toy show they were in together.
They work together like a handful of times. I know Batra actually counts as like an Earth defender for some reason. I just,
Yeah, he technically would because he was trying to protect planet Earth. He's just not a fan of the humans, but that doesn't mean he's not an Earth defender.
I mean, I'm not a fan of humans either, but
Real.
it's kind of understandable. We ain't doing too hot as a
Yeah,
whole.
I ain't mad at you, Bachelor. I get it.
I get it. Like I completely understand. Like dang, sheesh, dude.
Respect
But
it.
uh, let's do a bonus round here,
Ooh,
and then we
bonus,
wrap
bonus.
this up. So full power, both of them, Destroyer and Bagan.
Ooh, Destroyer.
Because
Listen, we
again,
had.
they
Oh,
they have relative scaling here. Because you can
yeah,
compare the Super Godzilla amp to the Burning amp.
yeah.
So they are relative. Plus, again, Godzilla and Ghidorah jumping you is an app is probably one of the best things. Like, oh dang, yeah, we're gonna have a problem here. Yeah, that you obviously a problem if Godzilla and Ghidorah have to like jump you. So it's just like Destroyer, the monster that can kill Godzilla. And let's not forget, he knocked out Burning Godzilla with one punch in their first encounter.
Ooh,
Like,
yeah.
I- and again, these two are very relative. Godzilla, even in his super mode, it was stated to be a high to extreme diff in order to beat Bagan. And yet, you have Destroyer here, who Burning Godzilla had to high to extreme diff and had to use an infinite power beam just to kill Destroyer.
Multiple
So
times, mind you.
again,
He didn't use that infinite power beam once. It was 4 times.
yeah, for like four times during that whole fight. And Godzilla had to use like combine his atomic breath with Ghidorah's gravity beams just to like end Bagan fully. Like his standard atomic breath and his standard abilities. Plus, you would also have to count that Super Godzilla will also have his hexes and Ghidorah's hexes. And again,
Ooh,
Bagan could just and again, Bagan was just, still getting high to extreme diff here. So these two going at it, woo, forget the planet, forget the city, forget everything. Just oof. This is it probably it would be one of the most epic battles ever. But who do you have winning it?
I got my dog Destroyer.
Mm.
Listen, Super Godzilla is strong. And yeah, so Bagon was boxing with that. But Burning Godzilla is also that guy. And with that, infinite heat ray, which is just infinite stacked on infinite.
Mm-hmm.
Destroyer was tanking those and didn't even die from that.
Nope. He still got close too. Dang.
And we gotta talk about how crazy powerful Space Godzilla is. Space Godzilla's never been a laughing matter and none of this. He's probably one of the more consistent kaiju. That's why I say he's a high tier consistently. And that,
And the
like
thing
unlike
is,
Kumanga and yeah,
and the thing is though, Space Godzilla is probably like the biggest benchmark scaling for the Heisei verse. Like they gave
yeah,
that dude everything.
he's the main reason the Heisei verse is even where it is. Let's be
Yeah,
honest. Space
yeah.
Godzilla's a hard carry for that verse.
Mhm. Yep, I definitely agree. He, if it wasn't for him, I don't think the Leo Mothra trilogy would have the same scaling, or at
No.
least close to. Because again, he started it. He started it.
Yeah, Space Godzilla really like made a huge creep. And Destroyer
Mhm.
victimizes him.
Yeah,
In the
like
Heisei
badly.
series, in Heisei series, in what's it called? Rulers of Earth, you could say Destroyer stronger, would you?
Mm, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the show and how everything went. I mean, I think I think the worst part about Rules of Earth Destroy is that he never got like to interact with the trilopods. I think that's kind of the worst part about it.
Yeah.
But but in everything else he's done, I know in Godzilla Cataclysm it required Godzilla, Mothra, and Biolate, and he took out Biolate like previously. And I know they're gonna fight again in like Rivals. And guess what, guys? Ibera's getting his own fight too. Yay!
You heard?
Yay! But yeah,
Oh,
this
let me even prove more that Destroyer is above Godzilla. I'm not Godzilla. Space Godzilla. In the
yeah.
PS4 game, it's
Oh no.
there's it's kind of hard to determine canon with the other monsters and their storylines, but Godzilla's storyline at least should be the only. If there's only one that's canon to the game, it's Godzilla.
That's
Duh.
fair. That's
So
fair.
Godzilla increasingly, just like the Heisei era or the Showa era, he increasingly gets more powerful with each mission you do. And guess who's the
Mm-hmm.
final boss? It's either
Mm.
2014 or Destroy. Destroy being a final boss against Burning just helps prove the consistency of Destroyer being above Space Godzilla, because Space Godzilla is also in that
Right.
game, but he's towards the end, but he's not the final boss, which Destroyer would be.
Mm-hmm.
However, on Unleashed, Space Godzilla is a final boss, so there is some
I
inconsistencies here,
think
but I
I
think
think
overall
that
Destroyer is the stronger one.
I think you could say Unleashed and PS4. We'll say it goes hand in hand because again, I do think Space Godzilla is a lot stronger in Unleashed than he would be probably like in any other game. I'm not sure how. Maybe it's because like the crystallization, or maybe he absorbed something down there. They said because again, all these crystals are coming from him.
Yeah.
Like he's the main villain of the entire game here. And you could honestly say like it takes. I know it does depend on your progress, but let's say like everything's at 100%, right?
Hmm.
Now, minus the mutant faction, which are pretty much his side here, it takes the aliens, which would consist of like Ghidorah, Gigan, Megalon, Orga, and you could also say the Earth Defenders, which are good monsters as we all named here, and the Global Defense Force, which is like your Mecha Godzilla, Mogira, Jet Jaguar, all that, to actually just go up against him, and you could probably say the rest of his like army and stuff and win.
Hmm.
Yeah, so you could honestly count. You could probably say that, and then again, Heisei is a part of that series as well. And actually, now that I think about it, when that kind of update Monster vs Godzilla scaling a bit.
Composite Monsterverse, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, okay, yeah, that definitely be fair. So yeah, I think you could definitely say that PS4 Destroyer would be in the same ballpark as Godzilla Unleashed. Space Godzilla. I think that would actually be fair.
But yeah, I still give it to Destroy. He has some really good hacks as well, like absorbing. He can absorb Bagon's DNA and just use his own abilities against him and get more powerful himself.
Hmm. So would you say Destroyer gets like a? I would say it's high diff. I would say it's high diff if Destroyer doesn't use the DNA ability. But I kind of doubt Bagan will let the tail like grab him though.
Yeah, he's gonna try to fight against that. But
Right.
Destroyer has tactics to get around that, like he did with Godzilla, because obviously Godzilla wouldn't let him touch him with the tail, but Destroyer just knocked Godzilla on his back and then used the tail. So Destroyer probably
Mhm.
used some other tactics to get an opening for that.
Or the flying maneuver that he did to Junior.
Oh yeah, yeah, the tail maneuver,
Yep. Where
drag
he
him
just like
around.
flew and just grabbed him by the tail and just dragged him. Poor Junior.
Yeah,
It was his first fight.
rip to my boy. Well,
Poor
he's
kid.
alive technically, but yeah.
But dude has said like, wow, I'm an adult now. I'm gonna fight some monsters. Maybe I'll start with somebody easy. Yeah,
About that.
it's about that. So you're gonna get a monster that's gonna be able to one shot your father. I'm sorry, what? Yeah, yeah, sorry, kid. The director said so. So
Have
have
fun.
fun. I'm not gonna die, right?
Oh, no, 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 no. Of course not. Of course not. Oh, never.
Hide the casket. Hide the casket. But overall, yeah, I could definitely see Destroyer winning. Definitely high to extreme diff. Or at least if he doesn't get the DNA grab. I think if he gets the DNA grab, it's at least it'll be a mid diff because his power now added with Bagan's power is just whew, whew, it's
But
definitely gonna be a nightmare. Definitely. But anyway, I think that concludes the video, right? I think that
yeah, I
does it,
think we
right?
got just about everything covered. Got said what we wanted to say.
Mm-hmm. This is probably an hour long.
Are you gonna like chop it up?
Um, Probably edit out the first half and then I'll probably just add like more scans to it for like further evidence and information so that we could get kind of like everything on there.
Right, right, right.
Mm. Yeah, because I almost forgot we was gonna talk about Godzilla Unleashed here. But anyway, you guys, that was Churro King. You know, just give some love
Yes,
to his
sir.
channel because he's definitely gonna be here a couple more times. We got two more videos, and still thinking on the third one, but I'm gonna definitely have to ask you on your knowledge on a couple things here. Like, just
Yeah,
yeah. Because
we gotta. Yeah.
I do want to do like another gauntlet like this, but with Monster Hunter.
Ooh. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll get into that a
So
little bit later.
hmm so yeah, our next video is Monsterverse versus Final Wars. We're gonna be doing kind of the same thing here, except each monster is gonna get a match here. So
Yes, sir. That will
stick
be on my
around.
channel.
Yep, that'll definitely be on yours. And yeah, just comment, like, subscribe, give him some love too, and yeah, we'll see you guys later. You have a nice day, Churro.
You as well.
You too. Bye.